On this episode of Repair Geek, I show you how to replace control arms on your Ford Fusion or Mazda 6. First thing you're going to want to do is get the car up in the air and take the wheel off. And then we're going to come underneath, and you've got a series of bolts under here. We're going to be replacing this arm here because of this broken boot. So we're going to loosen this nut, this bolt, and then there's a bolt up here inside the frame. Alright, so I'm going to buzz this bolt out with an impact gun. Now, the nut fell off as you saw, but the bolt's still in there. The bolt still has tension on it from the spring pushing down. So I'm going to lower the car down slightly, put a floor jack underneath the ball joint here, push up just slightly to get the tension off this bolt, and I'll be able to pull the bolt straight out when there's no tension on it. And then I can slowly lower the control arm down. Alright, we'll zip this one off next. This should all stay supported by the upper A-arm up top. So, zip this out and keep plugging away. If you don't have impact tools like I do, and you're just using hand tools and this stud starts to turn on you, there's a spot in the end of it there for an Allen wrench that you can hold it with the Allen wrench and then turn it with another wrench on the nut to hold the stud stationary. But if you got an impact, it makes life one heck of a lot easier. Next thing I'm going to do is get the ball joint out of the knuckle, and I'm going to do that with an air hammer. Now, some of you may not have an air hammer. All you're going to need to do is crack this, hit the end of this spindle right here where my pinky is with a hammer, and it'll break the taper on the ball joint, and the ball joint will go up. But I have an air hammer, so I'm going to go that route with it just because it's easier and I don't need to swing a hammer. Alright, I couldn't get my impact into this inner bolt, but it's an 18 mil. I got a universal on this and a small extension to get in here. Get a shorter ratchet here. It's not super tight, but good breaker bar will get it loose for sure. It's out. This was the bolt that I was most worried about because there's some sort of threaded insert in the frame that it goes into. So if that threaded insert spins inside the frame, you're pretty much screwed. I don't know how you would, how you try and get that to stop spinning. I guess you'd have to cut the frame open, weld the nut back on, and try and get it out again. But luckily, I didn't have that issue. And there you go. So the control arm came out with this insert in it. This insert is supposed to go in the spindle. The new arm doesn't have it on it, so I need to get this off of here. So I just have it clamped in the vise. I'm going to hit the center of this with the air chisel and just try and drive the arm out. Hopefully that works. We'll see. That is what I was worried about. Got him. Safety second. So as you guys saw, my sleeve came out with the ball joint. Ford actually sells a tool to get this out without removing the sleeve. It's $235. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sleeve back in and put a C-clamp on the top, a socket on the bottom, thread the C-clamp together, and basically try to press this back in. We'll see how well this works. She's going. Let me get some oil. Just try and help this thing however I can. Let's take this off and see where we're at. Not bad at all. That's about it there. There. See? No fancy tool required. All right, so now that we got that pressed in, let's go ahead and put our arm in. There we go. Now we gotta get our bolt lined up there in the back. There we go. That's relatively close. Come back and torque that once I get some weight on the wheel. Time being, let's get this arm situated here. Get the one I bought was a Moog, came with a new nut, which is nice. Pre-Loctited. Our strut. Yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Get the other bolt started, get everything torqued down, get this thing buttoned back up. There we go. It's got one of these self-retaining nuts on the other side of this. That's what you want to call it. I realize I'm doing this on the lift, and a lift only makes things easier. I understand that. I've worked on the ground plenty. But this is definitely something you can do in your driveway on a set of Jackson jack stands. The hardest part, probably for a guy on Jackson jack stands, would be just pressing that sleeve back in, giving yourself enough room for the C-clamp. But other than that, it's really not that bad of a job, provided all your hardware comes off like it's supposed to. Of course, that's true of any job, I guess, but you get the idea. Snug. That's snug. And we'll get the other one with the breaker bar because I can't get the impact gun up there. I did turn the impact gun down to its lowest setting just so I didn't go hog wild on this thing, but you want to get some weight on the spindle with a floor jack or something. You want the weight of the vehicle on the bushings when you tighten them, because with the suspension dropped and you tighten that bushing, with the suspension drop, when it goes back up to ride height, it's going to twist that bushing, and it's not really good for it. It reduces the lifespan of the bushing. So something to keep in mind. Just kind of get all this stuff snugged up and then lower it down, and then put a final torque on everything. So I went ahead and torqued everything down with my jack holding pressure up on that knuckle. So the only thing that's left now is put the wheel tire back on and send this puppy down the road. All right, gentlemen, that's it. It's definitely a do-it-yourself kind of job. It's not that bad at all. An air hammer like this is definitely going to make life easier for you with this job. I wouldn't say it's required, but it's something that would be definitely beneficial to have. A hammer and a punch will get you through this. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. The other thing that might be beneficial is some sort of a torch. I'll put a link in the description to the air hammer and the torch that I used in this video. I wouldn't call them necessary, but they're definitely going to make life easier. I'll put a link also for the control arm itself, a nice quality Moog replacement. I want to say it was around the time of this video, it was around, I think, 50 bucks. And the old one, I don't know how well you can see this, but the old one here has a torn boot, so that's why I changed it. The bushings still seem to be in decent shape. But yeah, if you guys need to know how to change one of these, that's how you do it. Those are the tools you need. Links to everything down in the description. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.